Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Elias. I am on chess.com right now, and I'm going over some videos or some games I actually played a little bit earlier, making some videos on them. And I'm actually checking out uh, this is one video of many, but the reason why I'm going over this is because there's some dirty tricks you can play, and it's pretty much a gambit, it's a gamble, it's a bet. I am not really one of these players to do this, but you're going to kind of see how this works out. But be aware, I mean, just because you get opposed by a queen or a certain piece, really rethink your options, because sometimes you really can't do a whole lot. More often than not, you won't be able to do anything to counter it. But other times when you have a desperate opponent or somebody whose back is against the wall, they'll try to psych you out. And it happens. It's happened many times. Hopefully you can try to negate that, but this is kind of one of those games where it happened and I was able to kind of nail it. Something about this whole entire hypermodern strategy is these, once the queen gets out on the dark diagonal light side squares, he'll be able to drop this check on you and be able to reinforce that. And then you can kind of get into a pickle if you don't know exactly how to handle this. And this is another lesson that I kind of want to go over. A lot of people would just go ahead and break this attack with the pawn, but sometimes the minor pieces or pawns like that are probably the worst thing you could do, because you can find yourself in a lot of friggin' trouble. At the same time, he's going to come up on a free rook, and then potentially whatever material he wants to do while maintaining the check, and then really breaks down your strategy. So I think that's exactly what he wanted me to do, but I'm going to go ahead and do that with my 2-knight defense here, the strongest position you could possibly be in when it comes to knights. So he's going to come down here and try to obviously break this guard over here and then continuously apply more pressure. I'm going to continue to develop his normal. If you continue to develop his normal and then do not get frazzled and start throwing pieces around trying to get him to go away, you'll find yourself in a lot more trouble. So panicking is the worst idea you could possibly do at this point. Just maintain composure and then continue to play the game. Obviously eyeing down here, he's going to try to come in here and then continuously apply pressure there. I'm going to continue to bolster that pawn. He's going to move out of the way. I've got kind of a pawn chain going on here, which is pretty solid. But I mean, if he starts really putting a lot of pressure into this area, there's not too much I can do except for just remain on guard. So I'm going to go ahead and block that diagonal, and then be eyeing down on this square here, because it doesn't seem like he has a whole lot of advantage. That's his weak point. So I'm going to go ahead and try to exploit that weakness. So he goes back into that position, which doesn't have a chance in hell of actually breaking this pawn. And he's going to continuously apply pressure. He's going to take there again. I'm going to go ahead and continue to take. I didn't think he'd just let me stay in there, especially when his queen is in danger. So obviously he's going to take. And then this is where that compounded pressure on the b4 square becomes really apparent. He wants me to go ahead and block with that. Not going to do that. He's got a lot of momentum on this side, and so in order to rob him of that momentum, I'm going to go ahead and move, and then now I've reinforced my position. So let's go over that again. He wants me to go ahead and do something along the lines of throwing one of my pawns up, and if I did this here, I would be blocking my line of sight to my dark squared bishop. He wants me to put myself at a disadvantage, and I'm not going to do that. And never forget, do not ever forget that you can go ahead and move out of check. You may not want to give up the castle. No one does. But if you give up the castle in order to maintain or gain a better position, then absolutely. So he probably didn't see that coming. He anticipated that it might have happened, but in a later sequence after I'd moved this pawn up. But I'm not going to block line of sight. So just be cautious of that. and then that's when I move out of check. I'm not going to continuously stay in check and start throwing pieces to stay in the same square, especially when I know he has so much power built up in this area. I mean, but I'm still maintaining line of sight. I've moved out of check, and then I have this nice rook here that's prepared to launch at the queen, but I have to be smart about it because I don't want him just to take. So he goes ahead and takes. He wants to get something out of this exchange. And then now I'm pushing him back out. And then he has to retool his strategy and rethink how he's going to do this. He doesn't have a light squared bishop to come down here and put me in a pin. And I don't really have to worry about that. What he does have is obviously a knight, and then he can continuously apply pressure, you know, obviously launching in the center. He still has the ability to castle. So, I mean, I would say this is not a deadly position. It's certainly a defendable position, but obviously not the best. There is no perfect strategy, and I've evened the odds at this point. This exchange could have gone in a way different direction, and I could have got pretty messed up here with some of this stuff. But this is defendable. This is playable. What I have to do next is pretty much develop my light squared bishop. That's what I'd be thinking to. But I'm going to continuously apply pressure. I don't know if this is a mess up, if this is a mistake, or if he was actually trying to get one over on me and pull a pin, but an unreinforced pin. I happened to see it, knowing that he wasn't enforced by anything, and went ahead and took. This ended the game for him. He could have prolonged that, whether that be a mistake. Obviously, you can't avoid all the mistakes in the world, but you can certainly use some of these strategies or ideas and really rethink like what or at least put some thought into what your opponent could potentially be doing, whether that was a mistake or an intentional move. He didn't see that coming and basically ended the game for him. Just to give you a quick pointer here, I would have used a pin at this point in order to enforce my dominance here. I assume that whatever his next move was probably going to bring one of his rooks out or to castle. If he were to do that, that would create some complications there. But honestly, I could tell you my next move would be along the lines of moving over to c6, and from c6 pinning this knight. If he had moved out, if he had not done that beforehand, I would have tried to pin this here and then taken this material and then continue to push my advantage. But my feeling is that he would have come out here with the knight reinforcing the rook, and then from that point I would have taken. He would have jumped back, taken this material, and then I would have dropped to the b5 square, and then from that point continuously applied pressure if he had not already castled. So that could have gone in a number of variations or different ways, but my sole intent is to get that pin and take that easy material. And even if I move here, he sees the threat, moves his rook here, I could go ahead and take with my rook on this file, drop down to the 8, put him in check. He could try to retake, but if his king is still there, I'm pinning that knight, and it's not going to be very good, so he'd have to move out and then ends up losing the game either way. But I think this is a good example of how tricky your opponents can be. And again, I don't know if that was intentional or a mistake, but I saw through it, took it, and luckily for me, made that happen. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a video here. Again, this is Elias. And feel free to check back, give me some questions, give me any kind of updates, whatever. If you have any ideas on upcoming videos or something for me to cover, go ahead and put that in the comment section, and then we can kind of go from there. Obviously, if you liked it, you liked it. I'm not going to tell you guys, oh yeah, this is just for us to learn and like a free resource that we can go ahead and share this knowledge with. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it for you guys to judge from this point on, and then we'll kind of go from there. So hopefully see you again. Take it easy, and I will see you in the next video.